dialed your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures, and then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. So let's waste no time. Let's start this magical time of year off right. Let's get to it. Story number 1. The Covelli Center is able to pay its bills. That's good news. Making top headlines, the Covelli and Amphitheater facilities downtown had an operating surplus of about $144,279 between July and September. They broke last year's mark of $128,294. City Finance Director Cal Miasek has reported $98,431. That's from a 5.5% admission tax on tickets during the third quarter, generating about $221,000 and $221,561 for the city. So that's what Cal Miasek has reported. There's an uptick, 5.5. Story number 2, the Sweeney case. Still in local headlines. This is makes you question. First, it was the question of who killed Rowan Sweeney. Then the trial began, and strange things about what's been happening started making news, and then strange things started happening the day Rowan Sweeney was killed. Then, after that, after he was killed, strange things began to surface, more strange things. So what happened that day continues to remain a mystery, but it's been revealed by little pieces of evidence in court. Then a key witness was killed at a nightclub, and now more delays in DNA results. So there's strange things happening in the field of justice system locally. Field of the justice system locally. Now, this case is revealing a lot about this local justice system. Story number 3. The virus is still in local headlines. Levels of COVID-19 still remain high locally in what still appears to be mixed reviews when it comes to the virus, COVID-19. Now, the reality is that people are testing positive and then testing negative with no apparent threats or long-term health effects so far. People have been using home remedies and winning the fight on their own while sitting at home for some less than 5 days. So how is that? Now, another reality is that people have just given up on the procedures put in place by authorities, with some people staying out of the madness and relying on their own better judgment. Now, the only thing that's for sure is that the virus is still around, but the faith in the CDC guidelines is to overcome has slowly faded away. Story number 4, ARP funds. The talk of it is still in the headlines. The American Rescue Plan funds. American Rescue Plan funds for 4 projects have been given the thumbs up, according to a local Vindicator article published November 18th. Now, this entire process has been a timely process, with ward members and recipients of funds patiently waiting for funds to be released. Now, the approved funding includes about $200,000 for the Western Reserve Port Authority, $187,500 for the Youngstown Cityscape, and about $94,000 for roof replacement and home repairs for designated fifth ward low-income homeowners. There is a lot of backbiting going on in this entire process between council and funding board members, because ward members desperately need the funds and resources for their districts. Story number 5. Gaines is out as prosecutor. So what does that mean? 26 years as Mahoning County prosecutor is finally set to end for Paul Gaines after he has announced his retirement. Gaines still has 2 years left on his 4-year term. Paul Gaines has had a long career filled with ups and downs, including being shot in an assassination attempt and a reported run-ins. He's had some reported run-ins with the mob to prevent him from taking office. Strolos. Now, one Vindicator report also mentions some lawsuits against gays. Now, this now shifts the ties to new blood in a still heavily Democrat-run district. Story number 6. What is in the opioid settlement? $3.1 billion is the opioid settlement made after some well-known companies got caught in a web of lawsuits aimed at drug makers. Now, Ohio is set to receive more than about $114 million, according to Attorney General Dave Yost. Now, according to an article published November 16th, the money will be used to provide treatment and recovery services to people struggling with opioid use and their disorders. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. The Chill Can disaster. Story number 7. Chill Can disaster. Folks, if you're sitting around and you are wondering in Youngstown on the east side why Sister Colleen got kicked off her property, and you call up Tito and you say, "Hey, Tito, what's up with Sister Colleen's property?" They will say that it is currently being investigated that the Chill Can owners reneged on their duties and contracts. So Sister Colleen's property is no more, and Tito will go on and try to fight for the city's money. Story number 7. Mahoning County Common Pleas Court judge says that the Chill Can owner has to pay back $1.5 million that the city gave in grant money for the stalled project, the Chill Can. Now, the current conditions of the new facility is a new building sitting on a wasted investment. I rode past it and I seen it for myself. There is literally no activity on the property, folks. If you ride by, all you see is a brand new building sitting on weeds and unpaved gravel. The property looks deserted and is really a bad look for the city. Something has to be done in regards to the story, folks. M.J. Joseph failed to construct 4 finished buildings on the east side property and also failed to provide 237 jobs by August 31st of 2021. According to a Vindicator article published November 22nd, the city has lost about $575,000 in income tax revenue because of the failed project. This story is still developing. That's why story number 7 made it to the top 2. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Tito, the local nonprofits need some money to carry out their mission statements. Tito, businesses need money to pay the city taxes. Tito. I know Tito probably sitting there, the phone would have stopped ringing. Call Santa Claus. Story number 8. Time to do a nonprofit checkup, folks. Nonprofits have to beg for money, folks. That's a fact. This is a reality. Nonprofit organizations every year have to find people to donate, give their time and their money so they can carry out their mission statements. Why someone would steal catalytic converters off of company vehicles at the Salvation Army remains a mystery. They probably needed money. This is becoming all too common on the subject of criminal behavior because people are constantly asking the question of, do they know the ripple effect of the trouble after the crime has been committed? The time, the money, the recovery efforts, the fixing, the labor, the tiredness, all for one crime. Now, some analysts see motives for such crimes having everything to do with desperation and the fact that people need to feed their families. The story is still developing, especially around this time of year, folks. That's why I started rate made it to the top this week. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'm right back. Hi, I'm Brian West, host of the Mediator.
And I'm Olivia.
Please join us this year, December 17th at 6 p.m. for our holiday program called Sounds of the Season. The event will be located at Shepherd of All God's Children at 610 North Lakeview Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. The event will be a Give What You Can event.
All proceeds will be given back to the school and Methodist Arts program. If you want to help us out more, go to 5648 Market Street, Boardman, Ohio.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, it is that time of year again, and I constantly have to explain to children about the magic of the holiday season. We're getting ready for our Sounds of the Season Christmas program, and one of the dancers was asking me about Santa Claus, and I guess that this new generation is being trained that there is no Santa. But they're being trained to understand the magic of the holiday season. Now, this is where the mediator must step in and regain his strength of power. Magical power. I said, maybe there is a Santa Claus. There was, and there still is. I've had to come in with the facts of history, the conjuring of the magical season, the elves, and the reindeer. I have to explain the meaning of the candy canes and Christmas trees. I had to start singing songs. Let us bring him silver and gold for a child sitting in the cold. King, the child is in the cold. Bring him silver and gold. As a mediator, you have to do some tough things around this time of year. You've got to remind the next generation that there is, there was, and there will always be a Santa Claus. Do I have to make a movie about it? Do I have to get up and jump about the holly jollies? That's what I like. Let it in. Let in the Christmas spirit. Do I have to start Christmas caroling to these teachers to teach this next generation about the blessings of God? I'm sitting in a room on Market Street, all by my little lonesome, and I still, as a 40-year-old man, understand the magic. But they're teaching children that the magic fades. No, it stays alive through you. Folks, let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Speaking of magic, some big-time people are stepping in to combat homelessness. Oh, they finally get it. I've got all this money around. I better start giving it to broke-ass people. Ooh. Oh, finally get it. Jeff Bezos is jumping into the battle to fight homelessness with 40 grant programs totaling about $123 million, according to a CNN business report. Now, this adds to a $2 billion effort committed to the cause of homelessness, to stop homelessness. Story number 2, the other outlook on immigration. Folks, if you didn't get it by now, you'll get this one. Canada wants to bring in 1.5 million immigrants by 2025. The question is why? Here's the answer. According to one BBC News report, Canada is betting big on immigration to fill the gap in the economy left by an aging baby boomer generation who they're leaving the workforce in Canada. Now, according to the report, Canada's federal government plans to bring in 500,000 immigrants by 2025. I wonder if this is the United States plan as well. Now, with almost 1.5 million new immigrants coming to the country over the next 3 years, the idea by Canada is not sitting well with all Canadians, but the strategy is not new. Countries all over the globe have been cashing in on immigration. The story is still developing. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Feliz Navidad! Story number 3. Medical shortages causing a stir. Caregivers are reporting shortages of key medications used to treat common childhood illnesses like the flu, ear infections, and sore throats, according to a CNN health report. Now, most of these shortages are in the categories that help treat common illnesses. Illnesses that pop up around this time of year, exposing more weaknesses in the field of health care. The story is still developing because where there's medical shortages, there are people who are left out. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Is Colombia's drug problem the worst it's ever been? The answer is yes, folks. Folks, drugs are powerful. The induced substances chemically take over their abusers' minds, making them crave and become physically dependent on this stuff, the drugs. Colombia, well known for its coca plants, has a radical solution to its drug problem. Taxes and agriculture policies at the moment seem to be the solution. The story gets deeper though, because farmers in the region are selling out to gain access to needed money that the booming coca leaf business provides. That means that they're turning to the coca leaf business to make money, to make ends meet. The story is just another sign that another drug war is brewing, and the evidence is in, folks, on the troubled things that drugs have done to so many people across the world. A lot of people have been affected. This story is still developing. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the media. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. Go to the website. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. You got up Sunday morning, and I'm pretty sure you are ready and excited for mediation. We're almost to the top 4. I have to stress that the mojo in America is starting to be rejuvenated as the sounds of the season of giving start to tune in, and inflation, high gas prices, and the foot of the bigness, the elites on the neck of the poor and homeless and the weak is starting to bring in some magical strength. Yes. People are starting to fight to get the spirit of the holidays into the rooms of their children. Yes. Tiny Tim is finding some healing in the Gospels. Yes. The magical time of Christmas caroling and the spirit of giving is being rejuvenated. I can feel it. People are starting to realize that you can't find the magic, the spirit, and material things. No. You have to go to the hidden treasures, to dig deep down into the soul and be reborn with gifts of greatness, the power of the Spirit. Ooh, yeah. Joe Biden and the Democrats and those people who are in the elites, even if it's the Republicans, and they're watching thirsty Americans starving and running around this country like zombies. They don't have the power to heal you, folks. You have to look within yourself and find the deepness, the God in you. It's the God in me. Yeah. And you have to be rejuvenated this holiday season, folks. I'm going to sing some Christmas carols. Oh, holy night, The stars were brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long live the world, the weary world rejoicing for the power of greatness. Woo! Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. New headline says Republicans should cut Trump loose. An opinion piece. A new opinion piece. New opinion pieces are starting to surface all over the place about the Republican strategy when it comes to Trump. Now, the reality is that there is something in the story because Trump has branded himself as an outsider on the Republican ticket, and a lot of politicians have continued to play the game of politics while Trump continues to play his own. Now, one opinion piece in USA Today says that Republicans need to give Trump the Hoover treatment and cut the loser loose. That's what it says. Now, how this story got in is the fact that Trump has a lot of supporters, and the current traditional field of political thinking has been shaken up, according to the analysts. Now, whatever Trump's future plans are with the party and in the field of politics has gained the attention of political enthusiasts across the world, not just America. Story number 6. Is the Biden administration out of ideas or just pulling from the old Democrat playbook? Now, this is a question, but the story has some details that need to be revealed. Now, every day new deals are being made, but political analysts still can't figure out the strong hold that the Democratic Party has on many ethnic groups. That includes African Americans and Hispanics and other ethnic groups, Asians. That even includes the Caucasian race. So these are things. White folks, black folks, people are all Americans. Some people say that Democrats have a different type of strategy when it comes to certain groups of people. Now, the fact is that at the moment, after the midterm election results, Democrat support for Biden grew, with many on the outside wondering how. Are these people our friends? Big question. Now, the country has a number of problems, and foreign affairs is another hot topic as the U.S. continues to engage and make moves on the global chessboard. Biden has a lot of say in this. Democrats, Republicans. Now, the number one issue at the moment keeping the spotlight on Biden is the economy and the fact that poverty is growing as inflation rises. Now, this data is also showing up on the crime sheets, but how people voted in the last election proves that either they just don't care or they don't know. This is becoming a big story, and it almost made it to the top 2 this week. Certain people who are aware are noticing certain patterns in the voting of Americans. And what they're saying is that if there is a problem, why are not people taking it to the voting polls? The story is still developing. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving holiday. Now we're headed into the Christmas holiday season. As usual, all I can do is come in here and give you the top 8. That's my biggest present. And I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you get up and watch it. I never know who is watching, but I do thank you for your time. That's what I'm here for. So, as I said, I don't know what much more to give this year. I'm giving it my all. That's all I can do. Story number 7. Something strange is happening in the job market, folks. Hiring freezes, layoffs, and recession fears continue to emerge in top headlines, even around the holidays. Now, in some fields, workers are even rebelling. Some reports even say that employers are still looking for good help. Now, this story is gaining steam because the job market is important. But after COVID-19, this COVID-19 storm, strange things are happening on the workroom floor related to, now these are work-related reports, and it can be really confusing on what to believe compared to stories that can be misleading when it comes to the workroom floor. Now, one key clue is that some things may not appear to be what they really are in this story. And when you look at these reports, the story is still developing because there are some spectators saying that corporations are profiting off of looking unprofitable. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, like I continue to say, I feel good sacrificing my time to keep people informed, to keep you entertained with the top stories. I feel useful. I really feel like this show could be somebody's friend, somebody's ticket to life. You know, I know sometimes I listen to the radio and I don't have people in the room with me, and it feels like the radio is speaking to me, and it's my friend. So I hope this show is a friend to you. It's a friend in need to you. I hope it is. And that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to give you the top 8 stories as a friend. I have to dedicate myself, folks. That's what I do voluntarily. I do not receive a paycheck for this. I just give in hopes that the blessings of this life will provide. Story number 8, why some people are convinced that they are fighting to save the future. Folks, there's something in this story because a lot of people feel like they're fighting to save the future. Now, if we learned one thing about the midterms, we learned that each party has a way of convincing voters that the state of America is in danger if they don't get their vote. Now, the reality is that workers are still working, businesses are still fighting for every dollar, and some people are still fighting to work, and a lot of people are still breaking the law to gain political influence and power. So not much has changed. Now, how this story got in is because of 2 mass shooting stories that popped into the headlines. One involving a shooting incident in Colorado Springs at an LGBTQ nightclub, and another at a Virginia Walmart. Now, each shooting has to do with the state of thinking of the shooter. And the question is why? The biggest talking point in this story is the fact that some people train their mind to believe that they are saving the future, and some people train their minds to bring the future to an end. They believe that they're here to bring the future to an end. The thing is train your mind. As the story continues to develop, try this year to train your mind to be useful to those around you. Try to train your mind that this is a great place that we live in. Try your best. Now, you're talking to somebody who has been broke and left for dead at times, but I've had to train my mind that I'm needed, that I'm useful, and that I'm fighting for the greater good of the future. And that's the best way to train your mind. Even when you have nothing left, folks, I'm a living witness. Just lost my grandmother. I've been alone at times, but I've had to train my mind that somebody above and beyond is keeping me in good health to be useful for a greater good, folks. And that's why Story Number 8 made it this week, because we are beginning the magic of the holiday season, and we have to train our mind that our brethren, our fellow Americans, our fellow people as a human race, people, that we need each other. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle, trying to navigate every story to keep you informed. I am out of here, folks. If you want to show us some support, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, I'll be back next week looking through over 200 more stories just to keep you informed. I'm out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Mediator. Me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.